Part 62. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 612. The weather is nice in California today. Although it is already winter, the temperature is not low due to the influence of the ocean. But the old man sitting in the wheelchair, not wearing much clothes, just got off the warm car, saw the cold wind, and couldn't help shivering. "Mr. McDonnell, would you like me to prepare a shawl for you?" The sharp-eyed John Killen naturally did not miss it. He asked with concern, "The wind is a bit cold today." "Just call me Lucian," the old man smiled and shook his head. "I can still bear this kind of cold, and I think cold or hunger will help keep my brain awake." John Killen agreed. Lucian was sitting in a wheelchair, looking at the scenery in the manor, and praised, "Although Mr. Fang is young, he has good taste. The manor is decorated in a very stylish way." John Killen naturally said a few words of modesty. There is a rather long road from the manor gate to the building complex. But the two of them did not stay silent. They discussed the weather in California and this year's grape harvest. They talked with each other in a very harmonious manner, not like they were meeting for the first time. The silver-haired woman remained silent. She pushed the wheelchair quietly, carefully avoiding all the cracks in the bricks that might cause the wheelchair to bump, and controlling the speed appropriately. The butler of the manor looked at his master with admiration. The butler was a loyal fan of Lucian. When he saw him, his heartbeat and blood pressure soared with excitement, but he did not dare to say a word to his idol and could only follow him with fanatical eyes, looking at Lucian's back. But his young master showed no sign of timidity and spoke generously. The butler was even more convinced of his young master. Soon, they arrived at the main building, and John Killen led the guests into the living room. The fireplace in the living room has been lit, and the flames are jumping, heating the room. There was a fruit plate on the table, and the fruits carefully selected and washed by the servants were stacked here and there. Lucian keenly discovered that the place where the chair should have been placed on one side of the table was empty. "This is the location for his wheelchair. Heidi, please push me over there," Lucian ordered. Heidi, the silver-haired woman, pushed the old man to the side of the table with the empty chair. "What do you want to drink?" John Killen asked. Lucian handed the cashmere throw to Heidi and replied, "Earl Grey tea, although I would like to drink some whiskey to warm my freezing body, I'm afraid my doctor will not allow me to do so." The butler quickly placed the brewed Earl Grey tea on a plate and brought it over. The tea sets are arranged. After Lucian thanked the housekeeper, he said to John Killen, "Can you ask your servant to wait outside?" "Of course," John Killen said. He waved his hand to the butler, "You go and wait outside." The butler and servants bowed and retired. The old man picked up the white porcelain teacup and took a sip of black tea. The warm tea liquid rolled down his throat, and he let out a comfortable sigh. After finishing the cup of tea, Lucian put the cup on the tray and said to the silver-haired woman, "Heidi, give us some private space to talk." Heidi whispered, "Yes, sir." John Killen thought Lucien asked her to leave. However, Heidi walked to the door of the living room, did not open the door and left, but locked the door. Then, she returned to the side of the living room and took out a black box from her pocket, and took out a folded silver cloth from inside. She touched a rope, tugged hard, and then flicked it. The silver cloth immediately bounced up, and then, a tent appeared in the open space of the living room. The rectangular silver tent is quite tall and can accommodate at least 7 or 8 adults. John Killen knew silver tents. These tents can shield all electromagnetic signals and are usually widely used on battlefields to avoid enemy monitoring. But he let his face show confusion, looked at the silver tent, and asked Lucian, "What is this? What do you mean?" Lucien smiled and said nothing. Heidi took out another handheld computer from her pocket, typed in a few lines of code, and stared at the screen. After about 10 seconds, a line of execution completed feedback message appeared on the screen. Then she respectfully said to Lucian, "Sir, the signal jammer is activated and confirmed to be operating normally." Lucien said to John Killen, "Mr. Fang, please come with me to the tent to chat." John Killen hesitated and did not move. Lucien raised his head, looked at the ceiling somewhere, and said calmly, "If the United Freemasonry has any questions about my move, feel free to come to me." After speaking, he patted Heidi's hand on the handle of the wheelchair and motioned for her to push him into the tent. Heidi touched one side of the tent and pulled it, revealing the inside of the tent. This kind of tent door has a magnetic suction type. The tent was very high, and Heidi, a person of her stature, did not have to bend down as she pushed her wheelchair into the tent. John Killen waited for the two of them to enter the tent, and then followed them in. Heidi moved a chair in for John Killen, and then carefully checked the gaps in the tent to make sure they were tightly closed before returning to stand behind the old man's wheelchair. Lucien looked straight at John Killen, putting away his previous gentle expression. He asked in a rather stern tone, "Mr. Fang, who are you? Which country are you from? What is the purpose of joining the United Free Trade Union? The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment." Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 613. After hearing Lucien's question, John Killen had an idea. Lucien knew nothing. He accepted Lucien's gaze calmly. Those sharp blue eyes, like a hawk, tried to find the changes in John Killen's expression. John Killen was so calm that he didn't even move his eyebrows. He said lightly, "Mr. Lucien, I don't understand what you are talking about." Lucien pushed his wheelchair forward until his hooked nose almost touched John Killen's face. John Killen did not dodge. Lucien said in a threatening tone, "Mr. Fang, I am not your enemy. I hope you can recognize the situation and don't try to hide it from me." "I don't regard you as an enemy," John Killen said. "If I regard you as an enemy, I will not allow you to step into my manor." "Who are you?" Lucien tried again. "I am sincere in cooperating with you, and I hope you can be open and honest." "Who am I?" John Killen repeated, and then he laughed at himself. "I am just an illegitimate child who is not allowed to see the light and is insulted by others, although the means by which I obtain the property are a little dishonorable. I am not. I don't think there is any problem. You can't become a world-class rich man by being honest and hard-working. As for the purpose of joining the Freemasonry, it is to protect my meager property. Lucien turned his wheelchair back and snorted coldly, "Miser? I don't believe it. Although you fooled the Duke of Leinster, you can't fool me. I know your badge is the Duke of Leinster's. There are many people in the upper echelons of the Freemasonry who know this. What if they know? Now, I am an official member of the Freemasonry. The Duke of Leinster had better let it go, otherwise, I will make him pay the price," John Killen said. Seeing that the young man was so calm, Lucien was a little unsure. He did doubt John Killen's true identity. But he tried every means to investigate his background, but he didn't find any flaws. At this time, John Killen suddenly smiled, "Mr. Lucien, come to think of it, you should thank me. I didn't tell the Duke of Leinster that you were responsible for his son's death." Chapter 430, The Duke of Leinster's useless son was strangled by the silver-haired woman and dragged to their house. Then, James Leinster completely disappeared. John Killen was very smart. He didn't say Lucien killed Jim, he said responsible. There must be a big shot behind the silver-haired woman. According to John Killen's description, the Special Security Bureau quickly found out the woman's identity, because her features were too obvious. The woman's name is Heidi Matt, and she is the personal bodyguard and assistant of the American politician, Lucien. John Killen continued, the reason why Jim Leinster secretly ran to the auction of Golden Island with the badge is also your credit. Until this moment, Lucien's face changed drastically. John Killen did not stop, he continued, "Who told Jim Leinster that if he brought the Masonic badge to the auction, he would be treated like an emperor? Who introduced him to the exciting and wonderful projects of the Golden Island auction and encouraged him to participate? You. As soon as he spoke, Lucien realized that his voice was too high. He cleared his throat and returned to normal. You are making a very serious accusation. John Killen smiled and said, you came to me just to discuss cooperation with me. When discussing cooperation, we must be open and honest, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 614. Lucien pursed his lips and looked at John Killen, a young oriental man with a pair of very beautiful black eyes, like two bottomless ancient wells. Young man, I finally understand why the president is interested in you. Lucien stretched out his hand. Nice to meet you. John Killen held the old man's hand. The two shook hands again. It was much more sincere than the previous handshake. After letting go of his hand, Lucien leaned back on the chair of his wheelchair. Now that you know what I did, do you know why I did it? John Killen said calmly, for the higher interests of the United Freemasonry Association. Yeah. Lucien's expression became a little dazed, for the higher interests of the Freemasonry. This sentence has long since become an empty slogan. I, Lucien, have devoted most of my life to the Freemasonry. My legs were also disabled because of the Freemasonry. Now, I have reached the twilight years of my life, and I have nothing left. I have not left any wealth to future generations. I only have one wish. I hope the world will become a better place and that the century-old United Freemasonry will not come to an end. Lucien smiled at John Killen. I hope you won't laugh at my poor old man's infatuation. People with ideals will always win my respect, John Killen said solemnly. Thank you. Lucien was quite moved. After a while, Lucien continued, that's where I just said, oh, by the way, the Freemasonry is coming to an end because of some short-sighted people who play with power. They overestimate and underestimate human capabilities. Force of nature, for the greater good, the current Freemason regime must be overthrown. John Killen listened attentively. Lucien glanced at John Killen. Speaking of which, you haven't met the president yet, right? John Killen shook his head. I have just joined the association, and I am not an outstanding talent. Naturally, I have no chance to meet the president in person. My eyes tell me that the president is very interested in you, Lucien said bluntly, his fingers habitually tapping the armrests of the wheelchair. Young man, let me give you a piece of advice, keep a safe distance from the president. Oh, John Killen raised an eyebrow and looked at Lucien. From your tone, you don't appreciate the president. It's not about whether you appreciate it or not. The current president is just a puppet, a bunch of old guys from the United Freemasonry. They treat the president like a pet dog and occasionally throw in a few meat bones to make this poor person mistakenly think that she is really the power is in our hands. John Killen interrupted Lucien. She, he repeated, did you say it wrong? Lucien glanced at John Killen and shrugged, I'm not wrong. Among the higher UPS, this is an open secret. Sooner or later, you will know the secret. I might as well tell you that the current president is a transgender. However, this matter is not important. No, this is important. John Killen and the others had already guessed about the identity of the president, and this was the first time that an insider confirmed that their guess was correct. Lucien continued, the important thing is that the current management of the Freemasonry is extremely chaotic, and they have violated their oaths. Everyone only cares about their own interests, and even makes some crazy moves to achieve their own goals. John Killen ignored etiquette and interrupted and asked, for example. After being interrupted frequently, Lucien glanced at John Killen with some dissatisfaction and said in a deep voice, for example, the radicals found Nathaniel Hanna, and they reactivated a leprosy island in the middle of the sea to carry out secret operations on the island. Experiment. Nathaniel Hanna, Cheng Ling once met this former American congressman in the house of his adoptive father Amos. Nathaniel unswervingly implemented the human eradication plan. He also appears in a videotape of the auction. As expected, they are still conducting crazy experiments. Herpetic gingivostomatitis, MXG, I really don't know what terrible experiments they are still conducting. The location is a leper island. This is very important information. Leprosy Island. In the last century, leprosy was rampant. In order to block the spread of leprosy, various countries set up some overseas isolated islands to care for leprosy patients, such as the famous Greek island of Spinalonga, Hawaii. There are hundreds of islands including Leprosy Island and Lantau Leprosy Island in China. Some islands have become tourist destinations, while others have been abandoned. Lucian obviously didn't know that the viruses born in these secret experiments had quietly spread around the world. These islands must be found and destroyed. John Killen thought. Lucian misunderstood the expression on John Killen's face. Their experiment has reached a deadlock at this stage and will not cause harm to us in the short term. If we want to put an end to this kind of crazy behavior, we must take a reshuffle action against the Hedgie Association. I want to reintroduce the Masonic electoral system, so I need your vote. Among the hundreds of rules and regulations of the Union Jack Association, there is one stipulation: if the president, supervisor, or deputy supervisor, the three people at the top of the Union Jack pyramid, have seriously neglected their duties, or have limited abilities and are confirmed to be incompetent for the current job, for positions, a vote should be initiated by the upper-level organization of the Hedgie Association. Members of level 30 and above, including level 30, can participate in the vote to jointly decide whether the three people at the top of the tower can retain their positions. Lucian tried every means to win over senior members. If they can't win over others, they will try to steal their badges and make them lose their membership in the Masons. This is how Jim Leinster's badge was lost. Aren't you afraid that I will reveal your plan to your enemies? John Killen asked. Lucien smiled. Kid, he said, do you know how many people I have bribed, and can you confirm who my enemies are? The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 615. Then I can also reject your request, John Killen said. The Masonry has not caused any harm to me so far. There is no need for me to risk offending the upper echelons of the Masonry and stand on your side, right? Lucian said, I promise that as long as the reshuffle is successful, I can raise your rank in the Masonry by 1 level. It is difficult to upgrade low-level members, but it is still possible as long as you work hard. But the higher the level of membership, the more difficult it is to upgrade. For example, if a level 30 member wants to upgrade to level 31, he may have to do something earth-shattering. John Killen shook his head. Mr. Lucien, I know one thing: only what you eat is yours. Child, you probably don't know what level 31 means, right? Lucien said. On Earth, you can choose any woman at will, you can take any antique you like into your name, if you like, you can even let the governor do a striptease for you. John Killen raised a tiny smile on his lips. Level 31, level 32, or even level 33 president's position, it has no meaning to me. You only have one purpose now, that is, to make me believe in you and serve you after the matter is done. You can completely regret or not fulfill your promise. I have no ability to guarantee that you will fulfill your promise. After a long while, Lucien didn't speak. John Killen could see that he was making a difficult choice. After a full 3 minutes, Lucien spoke, and he only heard him tiredly say, Heidi. Silver-haired Heidi had been standing behind Lucien's wheelchair like a plaster statue, motionless until her name was called at this moment. Heidi took out a pocket computer from her cashmere coat pocket, opened a file, and handed it to John Killen. On the screen, there was a list of antiques. A gold bracelet of an Egyptian pharaoh, a flower and bird painting by a Chinese Tang dynasty painter, a golden statue of Shiva, the king of dance in India, a jeweled sword of the King of England. There were more than a dozen kinds of antiques, and each of them was enough to drive the world's hardcore collectors crazy. John Killen looked up in confusion and asked, "What is this?" "This is a gift from me to you," Lucien said with a pained heart. "Are you trying to bribe me?" "No," Lucien shook his head, "I'm threatening you." "Threatening me? Is my English level limited? Or is there something wrong with my understanding?" John Killen looked surprised. "Are these antiques precious?" Lucien asked instead of answering. "Very precious," John Killen said solemnly, "I rarely see such precious antiques outside of museums." "Precious is right. Now, everyone thinks that you and I have reached some kind of agreement, so I reluctantly gave up and gave you these antiques. No matter how you explain, you can't get rid of your relationship with me." Lucien showed a cunning smile. John Killen was furious. He yelled at Lucien, "So, you condescended to visit me in my manor, and used this silver tent to prevent the Masons from eavesdropping on our conversation, and then gave me these world-class cultural relics." Lucien sighed, "Do you think I don't love my treasure? But for the sake of higher interests, I have to make such a sacrifice." John Killen thought, "Thank you for your sacrifice, I'm really making a fortune." Lucien's desire to reshuffle the Masons is exactly what John Killen dreamed of. The current rulers of the Masons focus on China. As long as the Masons are in chaos, the plan to suppress China's politics, economy, and culture will be disrupted. John Killen infiltrated the Heji Society and got the list of the upper-level members, so China could carry out targeted defense. With a chance to catch its breath, China could also seize the time to develop the economy and exert its armed forces. When the Heji Society came to its senses and wanted to suppress China again, China was well prepared and would never be caught off guard like today. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 616. While John Killen was receiving guests, Chen Ling wandered around the manor. The manor was large enough. Chen Ling did not stop and only visited less than a quarter of the manor. Behind her, two maids were always following her, ready to serve Chen Ling at any time. Wandering aimlessly is quite boring, it is better to check your mobile phone. I don't know how my family and friends in China are doing. So, when he walked to a backlit and sunny leisure flower hall, Chen Ling stopped. This is a great place to swipe your phone. In the middle of the flower hall, there was a round rattan table covered with glass and rattan chairs on both sides. She opened the rattan chair and sat down. In less than 2 minutes, the servants trotted from the house to fetch soft velvet cushions, cashmere shawls as light as clouds, exquisite French pastries, and steaming tea. Chen Ling leaned comfortably on the wicker chair, eating snacks, drinking tea, and scrolling through his phone. 99 plus unread messages. Unread WeChat 99 plus. Weibo messages 999 plus. Without hesitation, Chen Ling opened WeChat. The pinned WeChat message is "Love each other as a family." Chen Ling scrolled up and looked at the chat content. Mother Cheng, I ate at a newly opened Hong Kong-style restaurant. The barbecued pork buns here are super delicious. Ling Ling will definitely like them too. Hey, what time is it in the United States now? Is it morning? Brother Cheng, drooling.jpg barbecued pork buns, I love them too. Mom, please pack a portion for me and I'll heat it up when I get home. Your poor helpless son is still working overtime. Father Cheng, go ahead if you want to eat. Ask your wife to buy it. Don't call my wife. Oh, sorry, I forgot, you don't have a wife. Kiss my wife at Overlord. My wife, I am also working overtime, please pack me a copy. Mother Cheng, if you want to eat it, ask your assistant to buy it, no one can order me around. Brother Cheng, laughing loudly. Jpg. The most handsome man in the universe has been removed from the group chat by the group owner. Little sister Chen, by the way, when will my sister come back? I really want to play games with her. Mother Chen, shouldn't you be studying in the evening? Why are you still looking at your phone? Cheng Xiaomei, escape into the sewer.jpg. The female overlord invited the most handsome man in the universe to join the group chat. Brother Chen, Dad, you actually kicked me out of the group chat. Be careful, I lead the technical department to go on strike. Father Cheng and Brother Cheng scolded each other. Chen Ling watched the family chatting and couldn't help but smile. Mother Chen, Bo Shen, has Xiao Ling's drama been reviewed yet? The current drama is not good at all. If it doesn't work, go and throw money at it, and then use the internet to build momentum for Lingling. Brother Chen, her group of die-hard fans are promoting her new drama on all major platforms with great momentum. Intervening in capital propaganda now will only have the opposite effect. Her manager is under great pressure. The whole world is looking for Lingling, but they can't find Lingling. They can only look for Wang Zhen. I don't know how Wang Zhen's mobile phone number was leaked. Fans are almost blowing up her phone. Chen Ling quickly found Wang Zhen's WeChat account. Wang Zhen sent her more than a dozen WeChat messages, never mentioning the pressure from the outside world. She took some photos of Chen Ling and negotiated agreements sent by her partners. Chen Ling's new movie was about to be released, and many businessmen with business acumen realized that Chen Ling was bound to become a hit. As a result, many businessmen approached Wang Zhen and wanted to take advantage of Chen Ling's worth not rising to ask her to take GG photos. After Wang Zhen shared the negotiation agreement, she explained a few words. Recently, I have received a lot of good business and endorsement offers. I have screened them for you. These are not bad. You can take a look when you are free. If you have any favorites, let me know. Protect yourself outside. By the way, internal news, in 3 days at most, Light and Blood will be reviewed. There will be no big problem. Chen Ling replied, Sister Zhen, thank you. I'll treat you to dinner when I go back. Wang Zhen replied instantly, wait for you. Chen Ling quit the chat with Wang Zhen and looked through other chat groups. The Song of Light and Blood crew chat group is very active. After all, the TV series has just been filmed, and everyone's enthusiasm has not been diluted yet. Everyone was discussing the ratings of the new drama after it was released, discussing which TV dramas were released at the same time as potential competitors, and more importantly, they were discussing the reactions of fans on Weibo. The Weibo promotion of Light and Blood is very powerful. Behind the scenes or clips from the filming process are regularly released, which keeps attracting everyone. This makes Light and Blood not yet aired, but the popularity remains high. So, Chen Ling opened Weibo. After the program was opened, the screen was stuck for 3 seconds before returning to normal operation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 617. Chapter 617. At On Weibo, there are too many messages from fans, and new fan tips. The screen of her phone was frozen motionless, and it took a while before it returned to normal. Chen Ling first read the fans' messages. The 12th day that Sister Ling disappeared. It's been a long time since I've seen my spirit. Update Weibo. Looking for missing person Ling. The other actors in the crew are all crazy about business, filming GG, and appearing in variety shows. Sister Ling, is your company bullying you, or is it that someone wants to bury you in the snow? If so, tell us, and our Ling family army will immediately kill everyone. Give me a break. Who dares to bully her? She is the future boss lady of Xinjiao Fengxing Entertainment Company. Upstairs. What are you saying? Future boss lady? Isn't the boss of Xinjiao Fengxing a rich man? Mr. Fu is already in his 50s, so he can be Chen Ling's father. Is it still uncommon for old cows in the entertainment industry to eat young grass? Ugh, head down. No, people say she is the future boss lady, the future boss of Xinjiao Fengxing is Fu Yubin. I've met him, he's a very handsome guy. I remembered that in an interview once, Chen Ling admitted that she had someone she liked, but she didn't identify her. Maybe they haven't reached an agreement yet? No wonder. No wonder she got the lead role in A Song of Light and Blood. No wonder it is rumored that her background is very rich, Fu Yubin. Mr. Fu. She's so rich, isn't she? No wonder even the best actor Jang Ki-eun calls her eldest sister. He even wrote the theme song for Light and Blood himself. Moreover, the actor specifically clarified that he has no ambiguous relationship with Chen Ling. I feel like I am suddenly enlightened. Don't say it, don't say it, I feel like I'm reading a modern romance novel, the secret love affair between an 8th-level female star and a domineering CEO, the rich man's little wildcat, wild and flirty /. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 618. Chen Ling greeted him, have you sent the guests off? Jang Ki-eun took her hand, bent down and kissed the back of her hand, yes, I kept you waiting. Come on, I will take you to visit my vineyard, and let you taste the wine brewed by our manor. Red wine. But the vineyard is a bit far from here. Can you ride there with me? Ah, but I can't ride a horse. Chen Ling, who once won the title of England's gold medal equestrian, said. It's okay, I'll take you. Jang Ki-eun brought a snow-white horse from the stable. After putting on the bridle and saddle, he held Chen Ling's waist and easily carried her onto the horse. Finally, he turned over, sat on the horse neatly, and hugged her. He held Chen Ling and the horse's reins. The horse galloped for a mile before Jang Ki-eun slowed down and let the horse pace in the direction of the vineyard. Here, they finally had a chance to talk properly without being monitored. Jang Ki-eun told Chen Ling all the details of his meeting with Lucian. After listening, Chen Ling was very happy, so, not only did you reach a cooperation agreement, but you also learned that the radical laboratory is on a certain leprosy island. Jang Ki-eun said solemnly, yes. There should be no need for him to tell lies. Chen Ling immediately searched her mind for all the information she knew about the leprosy islands. Although the number of leprosy islands in the world is very large and it is impossible to pinpoint which continent or ocean they are located in, this has greatly narrowed the scope, and there are still search methods. Direction. The human cleansing plan is too targeted at the yellow race. If they really develop a virus that can cause lasting harm to the body, it will be an unimaginable disaster for China. China's current stage is a stage of takeoff. What is needed is the accumulation of materials, the development of technology, and the steady supply of medical care. China has a large population and its current medical level is not very high. If an epidemic infectious disease breaks out, it will cause incalculable losses. Chen Ling was thinking about how to further narrow the scope when he heard Jang Ki-eun ask with a slightly bitter voice, so, when do you plan to leave? Chen Ling suddenly became disappointed when he heard Jang Ki-eun's voice. So, she nestled into Jang Ki-eun's arms. After a while, she said softly, Brother Lan, I'm leaving tomorrow. So fast? Aren't you going to give Amos a birthday gift? Jang Ki-eun's arm holding the horse's reins tightened instantly. I thought you would not leave until at least his birthday. Originally, this was my plan. Chen Ling used the top of her head to rub Jang Ki-eun's chin. She could feel the stiffness of Jang Ki-eun's body. She continued, but now that we know that the experiment is still going on and we know the direction to find the laboratory, we can't just sit back and wait. Who knows what terrible viruses they will come up with. We have to race against time. Furthermore, I don't need to deliver the big gift to Amos in person, although I really want to be there to appreciate his expression when he sees the gift. Besides, I will come back as soon as possible. After all, my current identity is Fang Wenjian's mistress. John Killen couldn't explain why he had a very bad feeling. He knew the urgency of time, and also knew that Chen Ling had to leave as soon as possible to pass on the information. But he was inexplicably very uneasy. John Killen put his chin on her shoulder, leaned into her ear and asked, "How long will it take for you to come back?" "A month at most." "Say what you say." "It's hard to chase a horse," Chen Ling replied with a smile. "Don't worry, Brother Lan, I don't dare to say anything else, but I am a man of my word. I have never broken my promise to anyone." John Killen blocked her mouth with the back of his hand and interrupted her, "Shh don't talk. Brother Lan, when did you become such a superstitious person?" Chen Ling teased him. "I just hate waiting," John Killen said softly. "I'm sorry, I'm just being willful. You don't need to pay attention." Only then did Chen Ling think of Father Zhang and Jichen Jiao. In John Killen's memory, his father has been waiting for his mother. "I have been waiting for more than 20 years. Therefore, John Killen must hate waiting very much." Chen Ling held John Killen's hand and said firmly, "Don't worry, I will never let you wait too long. However, there are no absolutes in this world. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment." Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 619. The time they spent together was suddenly shortened to 12 hours, and John Killen refused to let Chen Ling waste time returning to the manor to make lunch, no matter what. In the vineyard, there is a simple restaurant. John Killen asked the servant to make some pasta, grilled chicken, salad, and had a simple meal with roasted dried fruits and red wine. After lunch, the two of them rode horses and wandered nearby. They went to the nearby woods to admire the wild lake. The lake was not frozen, and there were many wild ducks floating leisurely in the lake. Then, they went to the nearby mountains to have a look. The deserted road stretches into the distance. The two of them chatted while shopping, repeatedly confirming that there was no omission in the information that Chen Ling needed to pass back home. The two of them speculated on several situations that might arise in the future and how to deal with them. Although John Killen tried his best not to notice it, the sun still sank to the west at an incredible speed until it completely sank to the other side of the mountain. A chill came over me. Neither of them wore much clothes, so John Killen drove his horse towards the residential area of the manor. "Brother Lan, let me cook dinner," Chen Ling said. She could see what John Killen wanted to say, but she stopped him. "It's not convenient to go back and talk, and besides, I also want to cook for you. After all, nowadays, there are beautiful women everywhere around me, so I have to be vigilant." "Stop joking." John Killen hugged Chen Ling and kicked the horse's belly from time to time. "I'm not kidding. Isn't there a saying that says, if you want to keep a man's heart, you must keep his stomach? I've been holding it in your hand for a long time." John Killen kissed the top of her head. "Besides, what if your cooking is so delicious and they notice something?" "Don't worry, I will only make the food taste good, but I won't make it look good." Chen Ling leaned into John Killen's arms. "Besides, everything in the kitchen is ready. As Fang Wenjian, my mistress must find a way to please Fang Wenjian." John Killen couldn't defeat her. So, after arriving at the manor, John Killen went to his study, while Chen Ling went to the kitchen. She washed her hands, lit the stove, boiled water, and processed the ingredients. The stove fire danced. Suddenly, Chen Ling remembered a distant memory. A long time ago, when John Killen was General Lan, she actually sneaked into the kitchen and cooked for him during his last expedition. While cooking, sparks from the stove jumped into the pot and started a fire. Finally, General Lan, who was about to leave, couldn't find her anywhere, smelled the smell of burnt food, rushed to the kitchen, and helped her put out the fire in time. Chen Ling looked at the vegetables in the pot that were as black as coal and rubbed his clothes in embarrassment. General Lan did not scold her. He was never willing to scold her, or even say loudly to her. General Lan strode to the corner of the kitchen, where there was a rice bucket for cooking rice. There was rice steamed by Chen Ling in the rice bucket. She was inexperienced, the firewood was too strong, and too much water was put in, causing the rice at the bottom to be burnt, but the rice on the top was not steamed. "General, it's time for us to set off," soldiers urged at the door. General Lan looked at Chen Ling, who had a blushing face and didn't dare to look at him. He raised his voice and said to the soldiers, "I'm hungry. Let's eat something first and let the people from the court wait a little longer. Don't rush this." For a moment. Then, he took out a bowl, dug out a large bowl of uncooked rice from the rice pail, and used chopsticks to eat all the rice in the bowl into his stomach. Then, he put down the bowl, walked to Chen Ling, bent down and gently wiped the black dust from Chen Ling's face, and showed her 2 rows of white teeth. General Ian's face was very tanned from his daily training with troops. His eyes were very bright. Chen Ling bets that his eyes are definitely brighter than the brightest stars in the sky. She waited for him to say something, or to tell her to take care of herself, or to make a promise to herself, or to be bolder and say that he would miss her. However, he said nothing. "Just look at yourself and laugh." The soldiers outside the house issued a third urging. General Lan touched her head, his eyes full of reluctance. He said nothing. Because they all know it in their hearts. All language is redundant and pale. Finally, he flicked his cloak, opened the door, and strode away. Chen Ling chased after him, watching General Ian's back disappear at the end of the bloody road illuminated by the setting sun. This scene was deeply imprinted in Chen Ling's mind. In the long years to come, General Ian's broad and lonely back appeared in her dreams countless times. The overflowing water from the pot was poured on the stove fire, making a sizzling sound. The sound woke Chen Ling. She shook her head, getting rid of that memory that should have been dusty. "Why do you think of this past event? Strangely unlucky." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 620. No. Chen Ling clenched her fists. This will definitely not be the last dinner. She swore that even if she risked her life, she would never let Brother Lan get into trouble again. Thinking of John Killen, Chen Ling suddenly felt guilty. She had always avoided thinking of General Lan, and even more so avoided talking about the past with John Killen. In chapter 316, John Killen began to doubt Chen Ling's 180-degree turn in attitude. He asked Chen Ling whether she had been entangled with him in her previous life. Chen Ling admitted it, but she did not elaborate. They are the same person. And not the same person. So, when Chen Ling was with John Killen, she felt like she had betrayed General Lan when she thought of General Lan. At the same time, she also felt like she was unfaithful to John Killen. In this contradictory mood, she could only tuck her tail between her legs and choose to be a turtle. Don't want to, don't say. But she can't keep avoiding it. John Killen is waiting. Waiting for her to say it. This is the greatest respect he gives himself. Now that their relationship is so close, if she continues to avoid it, what's the difference between her and a scumbag? They have already talked about national affairs. So, give them a little time tonight to resolve their children's private affairs. Next, Chen Ling cleared her mind and carefully washed, cut, marinated, fried, deep-fried, stir-fried, boiled, or roasted vegetables. This was the most troublesome meal for her. It took 2 hours. Dongpo pork, honey lemon chicken balls, kung pao prawns, braised beef, stir-fried abalone with peppers, roasted crispy yellow croaker with scallions, roasted red wine pork ribs, and stir-fried broccoli. She gave up the fancy cooking skills and reduced all the cooking to simplicity. This time, the head chef and the assistants in the kitchen were very confused. Because they couldn't smell any fragrance at all. If they were asked, these complicated dinners were not as tempting as the breakfasts made in the morning. These people don't know that the world's three top culinary kingdoms are China, France, and Turkey. Among them, Chinese cuisine and French cuisine are often compared by gourmets. French cuisine pays attention to color. Chinese cuisine pays attention to taste. France likes to release fragrance to attract diners. China's top chefs pay attention to the fragrance of the food. They believe that the fragrance of the food will make the essence of the food disappear. Chengling's seemingly ordinary or even fragranceless dish hides the deliciousness. Just like she hides her deep love in the food. Outsiders can't understand. Except for those who enjoy this meal. Asterisk. Batty flicked his nails impatiently. In front of him, there are more than a dozen computer screens, each of which is playing the scene of every room in Fang Wenjian's room in real time. He has been watching here with President Angel for a whole day. Barty is bored, but he has to accompany her. Watching Lucien come and go. Watching the actress strolling in the manor, swiping her phone, watching her riding horses with Fang Wenjian, going to the vineyard for dinner, and then riding back to the manor. Fang Wenjian went to the study to read, and the actress went to the kitchen to cook. What's so good about this? Batty didn't understand it at all. He was forced to appreciate the flirting between the little lovers, and he was so bored that he almost exploded on the spot. However, the president had no intention of leaving. She was staring at a certain screen, and Batty followed her line of sight. On the screen, the actress named Chen Ling was busy in the kitchen. Because there were too many types of dinner to prepare, her cooking skills were not particularly skilled, and she would overturn the plates from time to time. But she kept refusing anyone's help. Not very smart. Batty thought, and changed his foot to support his body. I really don't know why the president is interested in such a woman. Batty felt that he was about to collapse. Finally, the girl on the screen finished cooking all the meals and called the servants to take the dishes to the restaurant. She really spent a lot of time on it. Although the appearance was not very good, there were many varieties and a large table was set up in a lively manner. Judging from the expressions of the servants, these foods were obviously not very tempting. Fang Wenjian quickly came to the restaurant and sat opposite the actress. He first expressed his gratitude to the actress for her hard work. Then, he picked up a piece of black meat and put it in his mouth, and praised it very much. It seems that Fang Wenjian really likes this actress. But he really has no interest in watching other men and women fall in love, but the president still sits still. Batty rolled his eyes. He has completely lost his patience. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 621. So, Barty moistened his throat and said softly, President, I heard that Lucien sent messages to Bartman, Ferson, Burnett, and Brown again. Shouldn't you pay attention to Lucien's movements? Angel leaned back lazily on his chair and said, No need. Lucien can't handle it. He's just a clown, nothing to be afraid of. Aren't you at all curious about the content of Fang Wenjian's chat with Lucien today? It's just to win over Fang Wenjian. Fang Wenjian is not a fool. He knows what to do, Angel said lazily. Barty finally couldn't help it anymore. Then President, why are we still wasting our time staring at Fang Wenjian? Who said I was staring at Fang Wenjian? Angel said. Barty? Don't keep an eye on Fang Wenjian? No, then what are they doing here? He forgot about the pain in his back heel. I'm looking at this woman, Angel said. Barty simply didn't know what to say. Who knows why this crazy president is so crazy? Angel rubbed his chin with the back of his hand and said, I will go to the manor to meet her tomorrow. You should meet Fang Wenjian when you go to the manor? If you do this, Fang Wenjian will definitely be unhappy. It doesn't matter whether he is happy or not, Angel said, I want to see whoever I want, why should I care about other people's feelings? Batty tried hard to control his expression and not show any displeasure, and said, but, I just found out that she has booked a flight to return to China tomorrow morning. Angel paused. She turned back to Batty and said, make arrangements for me. I will go to Fang Wenjian's manor now. President, the public security in California is not good right now, I can't risk letting you go, Batty said. He was too tired to go crazy with the president. Angel clapped his hands, then arrange a hijacking for me. Barty. Barty looked at the president like a madman to confirm that she was not joking. Then he couldn't help but raise his voice and said, President, hijack the plane? That will cause a worldwide sensation. If you really want her, you can. There's another way. Even if you rob her on her way to the airport, it's better than hijacking the plane, right? Then rob someone halfway. Angel said. Barty was extremely tired. President, I said robbing her halfway, and I said it was better than hijacking a plane, does not mean this is the best way. What if Fang Wenjian sends her to the airport? What should we do with Fang Wenjian? Isn't it enough to just leave Fang Wenjian in the middle of the road? Barty sighed, no, Mr. President, Lucian is trying to recruit Fang Wenjian to join the gang. If you do this, you are insulting Fang Wenjian. Fang Wenjian will definitely ask Lucian for help, and Lucian will not refuse. I know you are not afraid of Lucian, but you don't want to cause trouble, right? Angel really didn't want to deal with Lucian. As Fang Wenjian's client, Batty hoped that Fang Wenjian would develop well and provide him with benefits in the future. Then what do you think we should do? Angel asked. Batty rubbed his sore waist and thought for a while. I'll make a call and ask the airline to change the flight. Let me see, around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, there will be a flight from California with a connecting flight in the Philippines. Usable. Angel turned the swivel chair, looked at Barty, and encouraged him to continue speaking with his eyes. So, Batty continued, we have a lot of manpower in the Philippines. It shouldn't be difficult to kidnap her while she is waiting for her transfer at the Philippine airport. Fang Wenjian and Lucian can't find our head either. Come on. It just so happens that the laboratory is over there. Didn't you always say that you want to go to the laboratory? You can take a special plane to your private island nearby and wait for our people to send this female star to your island. If you have had enough fun, you can also go to the nearby P island to see the progress of the experiment. Barty, what would I do without you? Angel had a smile on his face, but his eyes were still cold. Then do as you say. Barty was cursing in his heart, but he didn't dare to show it on the outside. President, shall I make arrangements? Go ahead. Angel turned the boss's chair and continued to look at the screen.